Welcome to A Revolution to Lead podcast. We bring you daily wisdom and inspiration from the revolution, filled with the greatest minds and talents of all time. When Jesus walked out of his tomb 2,000 plus years ago, he began a revolution against an old way of life. Jesus is not just offering another self-help strategy, but a brand new reality that is overthrowing the world as we know it. This podcast is all about how we tap into and live out this new reality in order to live a revolutionary life. Our scripture from today comes from Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting in verse 4. And this is what it says. Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord one and only. You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commandments that I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are at home, when you are on the road, when you are going to bed, when you are getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as a reminder. Write them on your doorpost of your house and on your gates. This is what we call the Shema. This is a Hebrew prayer that Moses gave to the nation of Israel. That is a triumphant call, almost, let's just say, the slogan of the Jewish people. This has been said by Jewish people for thousands of years. And a lot of Jewish people, this was their dying breath, especially in times of persecution and hardship. What we can learn from the history of this prayer and the biblical context of it is, how do we love God, the one and only? Because first, I think what we get wrong and even confused with this scripture in the Christian context is the Lord one and only. Because the Lord is one is also another common way that this scripture is translated. However, this is not rebuking Trinitarianism. You see, if we look at God, he is not three separate entities of Father, Son, and Spirit. He is one entity with three parts. Take this pen, for example. You don't say this is three separate things, even though there's a top, and then if I broke this apart and took out the inside, there's the ink. No, we just call this a pen. And this is like God because it is three parts: top, ink, and plastic, practically. We could say top, ink, and the body of the pen. So when we talk about God, we must look at God in his three distinct parts, but know he is one being. He is calling us to love him alone. Because not only is he one, there's no other gods that compare to him. There's no other gods that reign beside him. He is one. Yahweh is not a host of gods. Yahweh reigns alone. There's nothing else that can stand in his place. There's nothing else that rivals him. He is not even challenged because Yahweh reigns alone. He is one and only. However, a lot of us, we try to do, I'm going to add God to my life rather than make God the center of my life. Because we like our things, we like what we do, we like our life, and we don't want to give it all away. However, we will never experience the full blessing of God unless we do. Because again, God reigns alone, and he reigns only. If we do not give God our all, then truly we're giving God nothing. Let me say that again. If we are not giving God our all, we are truly giving him nothing. Because you don't say, well, Joe Biden's kind of the president. No, Joe Biden is the president. You've never said that someone is kind of king because in this party's not king, but this party's king. No. This person was the king of this country, period. However, these leaders are flawed. They can be rivaled, they can be overcome. But our God, he reigns alone and only. And that's the stance that we must take in our life. That we can't add things to our life and then throw God in the mix. God must be our one focus, our one call. You see, the entire Hebrew Bible, which we call the Old Testament, is about these people of Israel falling away and trying to do what we do. That they tried to add God in the mix of their wants, their needs, their desires. And they found it didn't work. They were exiled, overtaken. And it was all because they didn't make God their one and only. You see, when we try to add God to the mix, we push his authority out of our life, and our life becomes our responsibility alone. We have to carry all the weight. We have to carry all the pressure. And then we have no one to help us. And when life goes bad, when things hit us hard, there's no one there to comfort us. There's nothing there to empower us through because we've chosen to do it all ourselves. We've chosen to do it our way. But when we do it God's way, when we allow God to reign only in our life, then he begins to comfort us. He begins to give us aid, and he begins to lead us out because we have allowed his rule to cover our life. And when we allow that, we can begin to enter this new reality and live the revolutionary life. If you're enjoying this podcast, please rate, subscribe, and share with a friend. Because the revolutionary life is not about self-enlightenment, but about changing the world around you. And if you are looking to get into a community of people who want to live this revolutionary life, then buy my latest NFT on OpenSeas, join the revolution. Austin-Glines is my profile name. And you'll get access to a Discord channel, which will have exclusive content from me. And you'll get to join a community of people who all want to live this revolutionary life. So go out today and be revolutionary.